If you're new here, welcome to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep sharing stories that deserve to be heard. My wife is 3 years older than me, and we happen to live in my mother-in-law's house. Her name is Emily. She is still unmarried and has been happy to take us in. You know, like many men, I appreciate simple women, but I have even more admiration for women like my mother-in-law, who quietly cries into her pillow at night from loneliness. Extraordinarily beautiful but intelligent and sophisticated, she has a kind of unassuming charm. Yet there is a deep love lurking inside her, waiting to be discovered, just worth a little effort. Living with her under the same roof, I began to notice more and more little things about her than I hadn't noticed before. One day there was cause for celebration. My wife Emily and I decided to have a little party. Of course, I immediately opened a bottle of wine, and we started chatting and having fun. The women were having a lot of fun, and soon the first bottle ran out. I went and bought a second and even a third. We continued to drink and talk. The mood was lively. Laughter and stories filled the room. Emily's laughter especially stood out. It was rich and warm. There was a charm to it that drew me in without warning. I hadn't often seen her from the outside, and it couldn't help but captivate me. Marga is a striking woman in her own way. She is tall, about 99 and 69 centimeters, with a strong athletic build, not fat, but firm and well-proportioned. She is a natural brunette, with curly hair and alabaster skin that stands out. Her presence is commanding but not overwhelming, and over time I've come to appreciate her subtle confidence. Over time, I've learned quite a bit about her. I know that she divorced her husband after he cheated on her. She has built her life on her own, and although there is a quiet sadness in her, she is far from defeated. There is a resilience in her that I deeply admire, a strength that is hard to ignore. One thing became clear to me. Emily loves life and is no stranger to casual hookups. This realization stirred something in me, but I knew better than to act on it. At some point in the evening, my wife stood up and immediately collapsed back into her chair under the influence of alcohol. Emily and I helped her up, but she was already too far gone. She leaned on the wall to support herself and then stumbled off to the bathroom. I went to my room to change, threw on a robe, and went outside again. I found my wife in the bathtub, trying to regain consciousness while water poured from the faucet. Emily, meanwhile, stood at the stove, staring at the floor without thinking. I smiled and went to her for a hug, more as a sign of support, but suddenly she grabbed me with both hands and pressed herself against my shoulders. Before I realized what was happening, her hand slid right there. It was a moment unlike any I had ever experienced. For a few minutes we were lost in each other, kissing deeply. My mind was racing, realizing the danger, but unable to stop just when I thought things might go further. Emily suddenly pulled away. She looked around as if coming to her senses and said, "Let's wait until my daughter is asleep. You are a good man, but time is of the essence." With those words, she went to her room and closed the door. I stood there with my heart pounding, trying to realize what had just happened. Every nerve in my body was alive. Every thought was consumed by it. I realized I was walking on a dangerous edge, but the pull was undeniable. I was in shock when I returned to the bathroom. I found my wife with her head in the sink-cold water running down her temple. I turned off the faucet, picked her up in my arms, and carried her to bed. She seemed to fall asleep immediately. Her breathing was deep and even, and her face was calm. For a moment I felt a pang of guilt, but it was fleeting. My thoughts returned to Emily, to her gaze, and everything else. Unable to resist any longer, I went quietly to Emily's room. "So is she asleep?" she asked. "Yes," I replied, and without hesitation I slipped under her blanket. That night Emily showed me a side of herself that I had never imagined. She was very playful, confident, and unforgettable. By morning she looked a little worse for wear, with dark circles under her eyes, but she held herself gracefully, pretending as if nothing had happened. There was a quiet understanding between us, a connection that required no words. It was as if there was an unspoken agreement between us that would shake the dynamics of our family from them on. Later, when I went out on the balcony for a cigarette, Emily joined me. "I'm too old for you, son-in-law," she said softly, but you understand how I feel living alone is not easy. I wish you and your daughter all the happiness in the world and hope you have many children, but don't forget about me." Her words hung in the air, filled with meaning. There was a vulnerability in her voice that touched something deep inside me. From that moment on, a secret bond developed between Emily and me. Before this story spirals even further, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for more. And when the story ends, don't forget to show your support through likes and comments. My wife and I continue to live together, but Emily was a constant presence. Our connection was unspoken but undeniably real. She looked at me in her own way, a fleeting glance that spoke volumes. It was a reminder of what we had in common, a tacit acknowledgement that we had crossed the line and occupied the territory we now occupied. Life went on, but it was forever changed in every interaction with Emily. You could feel the tension, the spark that never faded. We carefully assigned roles, keeping our secret. That's how we've lived for many years,